Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brock Beard from lastcar.info. I hope that you can hear me a lot better than our last show here when I was experimenting with this. And hopefully, hopefully this is working a little better than last week as well. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the new setup here. I'm still experimenting with it here a little bit, but we'll be jumping into this in a bit. Let me make sure I get the, okay, I think I have the chat layer in the wrong layer. Let me make sure the chat box shows up where it needs to. Boom, there we go. That looks better. Oh man, that actually fits better than I thought it would. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Yes, okay. So, still figuring this out here. Okay, sounds great, good. Okay, we are bringing the microphone, past shows, I've had the microphone off screen. I think we're just gonna go ahead and try something a little different here. You can hear me fine. Okay, love it. Excellent. So this is something, a little preview that I've been working on here. I want to personally thank those people that do a lot of interesting information on YouTube to make Streamlabs a little easier to understand. I was very pleased with playing around with it, used some old starting grid graphics here and tweaked it out a bit. So yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into this. We're going to talk a little Formula One today, which I know is a little different than our usual shows here, but I'd be remiss to not bring that up. But first and foremost here on a more serious note, I know that I'm sure a lot of our viewers here are in the Kentucky, Tennessee area there with the tornadoes that devastated that region here the other day. If you guys are watching this, I certainly hope that you're doing well, or if not, that you are on your way to recovering there. Devastating news out of there. But hopefully, if you have a chance to tune in here, take your mind off things a little bit here. Hopefully we could certainly do that. So we're going to jump in and let's see here. Okay. Oh, thank you guys for tuning in here. I'm glad. Okay, excellent. Good. So things sound good on that end. And we'll make sure we get all that. Yep, we have the festive Buffalo Bills sweater here. It's outside. I was just checking on the stream here to see if we had access to the game here at Last Car headquarters, but we don't have it on that. But it looked like it wasn't going too hot anyway, so I figured just a good enough time to jump into the chat. Maybe the luck will turn around on that end. So I did watch the Formula One race this morning. It's not usually something that I do check out. I do not follow the sport that closely, and in fact, in those of you guys who have checked out past episodes of this show in whatever incarnation it's been, I have not minced words about how I'm not a big fan of it. And I think NASCAR is taking the wrong bit of inspiration from it, whether it's the charter system, reducing the size of the fields, or just plain making it impossible for anybody to start a new organization in the series. Yeah, I don't know if things are going to turn around on that end, but obviously people are mad. Oh man, people are mad with what's happened in this Formula One race today. I see the word farce is trending on Twitter this afternoon, and there's been plenty of discussion one way or the other on that. I have to say, as somebody who didn't really have a dog in the fight, I was entertained. Now, that may not be exactly the best indication for most people, but I think that was definitely the case here. I think the tricky part with this is a lot of people are, of course, looking at the officiating, and of course that's central to this. I think the tone of a lot of the discussions reminds me very much of anything that happens at a Talladega race with the yellow line rule and everything else. Okay, so I mean, I'm just thinking where to even really begin with this. Okay, so we've had a season in Formula One where, and again, I'm going to preface this again for those of you just tuning in here. I have very little knowledge of Formula One. I have an awareness of it, but it's kind of like what I talked about in my IndyCar video there too. It's not something that I'm really that passionate about. So I'm sure people that are Formula One fans, if they've stumbled into this live stream here, are probably not going to be too happy one way or the other. It's like, why doesn't he understand this or that? Bear with me. So here's what I saw. So it seemed like, especially from all the promotions that were leading into this, that we have two different drivers that are very equally matched. So equally matched that they constantly are just running over each other one time or another. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton, of course, with his multiple championships, and Max Verstappen looking for his first. Red Bull and Mercedes, the two top flight teams, at least for now. Mercedes seem to be leading by a country mile these last few years, and Lewis Hamilton, of course, racking up his championships along the way. But Verstappen just matching him beat for beat here to the point where they were tied coming out of the last week's race. Now, last week's race, I only watched little bits of it there, but I don't personally understand the whole idea of having to give a position back, and then the driver that's supposed to be passing you ends up just running in the back of you instead, and then somehow that's the guy in front's fault. I don't think that really works on the highways, and I'm not sure exactly how that would work in Formula One either. But Hamilton comes out with the victory. We get the tie in the points coming into the final race. Verstappen gets the pole for the race, and everything is just suitably hype. And, looked like it was really entertaining. It was going to be, I think there were a lot of people that had made comparisons to the Senna versus Prost thing in, what was it, Japan years ago, with the two of them tangling in the first corner. Didn't see that. Took till lap 2 for a driver to be forced out of bounds. And as much as you guys know, I'm not a big fan of rules, but Formula One lives by them. And of course, by having rules in place, you have a lot of judgment calls and a lot of officiating that leaves quite a bit to be desired in that sense. So it was inevitable that these two were going to be crossing paths at some point. I'm surprised it didn't result in damage to one or both cars like we had in last week's race. But we did have a situation there where one car was being forced out of bounds. Now, it sounded like, now again, it was about 5 a.m. here Pacific time, so I was pretty groggy during this, but I'm like, okay, so you have two cars that are running out of bounds. You have a situation where, they're basically neck and neck when they have this incident here. And Hamilton comes out the other side after shortcutting the course, and he's ahead by about a second and a half. And then the officials say something about like, oh yeah, he gave that distance back. And it's like, well, no, he didn't. He actually benefited from it. If anything, if the rule from what happened with the Verstappen thing the previous week is any indication, he should at least give that distance back. And hopefully Verstappen doesn't run in the back of him or something, or if that's just a new Formula One thing, or I don't even know. So that was weird. And especially since Formula One usually doesn't have cautions. They don't seem to throw cautions for anything. That will come into be a factor later. You had that particular incident. So, okay, Hamilton benefits from it. He gaps him larger and larger. He has this bigger and bigger margin. Then you have pit stops. And then you have the second Red Bull car out there. And then you get some chicanery from the other team here. And Verstappen's teammate is holding up Hamilton. Don't you know I just love team orders and everything else there. But in this case, it turned an 8-second advantage or whatever it was to about a second or so pretty quickly. Great effort, I guess. Great teamwork. I guess you could, kind of Kurt Busch and Ross Chastain at Atlanta earlier this year kind of situation. A bit of chicanery going on there. Hamilton finally gets by, and again, the lead continues to grow, and their coronation is setting up. We're down to the last 10 or 15 laps of this thing. The gap is still huge. Verstappen is gaining some ground there. And then you have the accident. Now you have an accident that actually is going to bring out a caution, but it's only 4 laps to go. So you have a situation where, okay, are you going to have enough time to clean up this car and restart the race? And Verstappen, very wisely, knowing he has nothing to lose because he's in second place, I assume, comes down pit road to get fresh tires. Even if they don't restart the race, he needs to win the race to win the championship. So why not take fresh tires? Why not for Lewis Hamilton as well? There was film footage showing that they had tires set up in Hamilton's pit, and they were going to change tires. It looked like they were going to actually match the strategy as best they could. And they come out, but Hamilton doesn't come in. He doesn't come in the same lap as Verstappen, doesn't come in the next lap afterwards. And it even seemed like there was some confusion from the broadcasters as well. It's like, well, this race is going to end under caution. They're not letting the lap cars by. And since they're not letting the lap cars by, Hamilton out there with his old tires has about 5 or 6 lap cars between him and Verstappen in second place with fresh tires. And it looks like it's just going to finish that way. Then all of a sudden, they wave not all the lap cars, but at least the few lap cars that are between the two leaders. And then Verstappen is basically neck and neck with Hamilton coming to the stripe. And Hamilton, to his credit, one thing I think people are already forgetting in a lot of their complaints about this, it wasn't exactly like Verstappen just blew the doors or whatever the equivalent in Formula One is off of the Mercedes there. It really looked like the Verstappen was actually kind of struggling to get around Hamilton. So I think, if anything else, I'm not the biggest Lewis Hamilton fan either, but I got to say, I was very impressed by his ability to kind of hang on as long as he did with tires as old as they were, with Verstappen having as fresh tires as he had, and that big advantage. So, I think that was pretty exciting to see, as a matter of fact, when it was all kind of shaking out there. Now, Verstappen did actually get by him there in enough time to actually kind of open things up a little bit. But I think, Hamilton looked like he was about to work another crossover there, and it just didn't quite work out. All of this in just one lap to get to the finish. And now, of course, I decided to still commit to doing this show a little later in the day to see if any of these appeals went through, at least as of here, about 4 o'clock Pacific time here. Doesn't seem like there was any indication that any of those appeals have been approved. But we have a situation there where Verstappen is your Formula One world champion for the first time. And so, the dust is the dust as well as it's far from settled. I think Ben Schneider here, our writer here on the our guest contributor here at LASCAR, is very wise to say this is kind of one where you stay off Twitter for 24 hours. And if you're in F1 Twitter, I'm sure that's probably the case. And there's been some people on the NASCAR side that are saying, oh, well, come on, that never happens with us. Can you imagine? It's like, well, yeah, I can imagine Chase Elliott's rear bumper hanging off the back of his car at the Roval, or the reestablishment of a pit crew member's position the previous year. Things certainly seem to happen differently for different drivers. So it was entertaining. I enjoyed it, but I could see why people in Formula One would not be enjoying it. I think in a perfect world, you would have had a restart at the end of that where both Hamilton and Verstappen had fresh tires, that they started 1 and 2, that they didn't have lap cars between them, and then you would have a great finish. Why it took so long to clean up that car, why it took so long to get even just a few of the lap cars out of the way, and why they only had 1 lap to actually settle the race between each other, that goes to officiating for sure. And the lack of consistency, I'm sure, was a big reason that Hamilton did not get tires in that particular sequence. Although, the fact that Hamilton's team did have tires out for a little bit still shows that I think the team actually kind of bears some brunt of the blame there. And perhaps that's why Hamilton wasn't as entirely upset at Verstappen himself in the post-race interviews and everything, or at least in the immediate celebrations after the race. So we have a situation where, it's like, okay, you could hear a little bit of the clips that they're playing. It's like, oh, well, no, we can't change tires. You'd lose too many positions. It's like, well, what if you pitted at the same time as Verstappen? Was that even considered? Okay, obviously, if he waited a bit longer, that advantage is going to be lost and you're going to be behind Verstappen and it finishes under caution. You've lost the championship anyway. So really his die was cast after not pitting that first time, but then why not do that? But I think this is the other standpoint here. I mean, Formula One or NASCAR or any motorsport out there, if you think that if you're one of those two guys and you're trailing at that point and the championship's on the line and it's like Driven. Actually, I finished a commentary track to Driven just the night before this race. So it actually kind of remind me of that. You have drivers out there that are trying to win the championship. There's all this hype with these two drivers, and they're always pulling different stuff. Even all the clips that they were showing in the highlight reel shows that, okay, I mean, there's that time where Verstappen was hooked by Hamilton, and he hit the wall with just ferocious force. There's that other time where the two cars were piled on top of each other. People playing to the refs during the whole thing. I mean, Formula One's always been like that. You watch Rush, and the width of the tires that James Hunt had back in '76, or you watch the Senna documentary and how often politics plagued his career and really affected what we saw of his natural talent. Are we really surprised that this was a show? That's where I get a little confused out of this. Obviously, the most exciting of all options they could have possibly had was exactly what they did. Come down to the last lap, one car going against another. The second place guys got better tires. Lap traffic's not in the way, and it's for all the marbles. Very much like back at Phoenix for the NASCAR championship. The fact that Kyle Larson was going to be tied for third, as his crew chief said, before that last caution came out for David Starr's brake rotor on the track. And even then, you had a situation where everybody pitted. Obviously, it wasn't a factor that they were going to have to worry about the race ending under caution. You have overtime rules. And it was many more laps than that, I recall, before the race actually concluded in that point. But again, it stinks that it had to come down to it. But when you have a tied situation, you know that every little decision is going to matter. It's no different if you had a situation where rain was coming in the area. And obviously in Formula One, you don't really have to worry about that. But if it was a rain-shortened race, everybody had that option to stay out, just like everybody had that option in this race to pit and get tires. And when they failed to do so, they got outfoxed, and that happens. And it stinks. And I know everybody's trying to add that asterisk as quickly as they can to what Verstappen did. But they worked out the strategy to a T, and they did what they had to do. And they even won the pole to make sure they had that extra bonus point along the way, or however many points it is. It's unfortunate that we didn't have a situation where both of them had equal tires. But I think if you're Lewis Hamilton and it's coming down to it and you're leading and you have 5 lap cars and you have a second place guy a ways behind you, do you really think that they're going to just let this race end under caution? And I assume, and as I think it was one of the broadcasters said, they have had championships end under caution. But are they going to want that to happen? It is a business. It is a entertainment of one way or another. And it is a sport that has revealed itself through this entire year, including that incident, I guess, the previous week where they said, oh, what penalty do you want for this? We're going to actually negotiate penalties, which is absurd. Knowing all that, do you really think they're just going to let this race end under caution? Do you really think they're going to let those lap cars sit there? I don't think so. I was relieved to see them do it. I didn't think they were going to. And would it have been, I guess the way you can look at it too is, would it have been as entertaining if they let them do the 1 lap restart, but they had the lap cars out there? Would Verstappen been able to pull off another lap of the gods there and get around all of them and Hamilton before getting to the stripe? I don't think so. He probably would have got around a couple of the lap cars, but I'm not sure if he would have had a chance to go to the front. This isn't, Atlanta where you get like a 4-wide pass into turn 1 with somebody on old tires and everybody's running over them by the time you get to the back straightaway. On a road course, I think it's much more challenging. And especially, of course, in Formula One, it's nothing but road courses. So, the racecraft is just so radically different. It was unfortunate that it had controversy. It's unfortunate that it's being viewed as a controversy. I don't think that's particularly fair to either of the competitors for how competitive they were this season. I think the important thing to take from it is, again, you had a season and a championship defined by 2 drivers who were that good, and perhaps this is the only way it could have ended. With both of them going, one on the other there at the end. And again, I'm going to give credit as well to Lewis Hamilton. I was very impressed by his interview afterwards. That's a crushing way to lose a race. I was kind of reminded of Noah Gragson when he lost that Texas race to Harrison Burton last year. I think if he had a situation where he was really upset, and I think he cursed on TV during that. Can't blame him. It was a terrible way to lose, and he needed that win to advance. But you had a situation, where, they where the stakes are even higher, where it's literally you win the race, you're the world champion. And he's got his streak and the constructor's streak and all the other stuff that's going on in the background there. and then you lose it that way. I thought he handled himself very well. I was very impressed with him. And again, I don't know a lot about the guy. I know of Lewis Hamilton and these other competitors there, but yeah, I mean, it was a perfect storm. I'm glad I'll tell you this. I'm glad I got up to watch it. And I think that, I'll be very interested to hear what the ratings were and everything, because I'm sure this was something that, whether you feel this way or that way about the officiating, or this way or that way about who should have won or who was the best driver, somebody had to lose this one, folks. It wasn't going to be a tie. And whoever lost it, it was going to be pretty brutal with them being tied coming into the last race. Remember it with Carl Edwards and Tony Stewart in 2011 in the Cup Series, even before we had the current playoff round, where now you have 3 other people that are leaving unhappy because it's just, if you're not first, you're last at the championship round. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I have to really kind of say on that one. I think it was entertaining. It was something. I know there's people that have different feelings about it, and people that I know the gatekeepers are out in force. They don't really want to hear NASCAR people's thoughts about this, but guess what, folks? This is my show, and I'm going to talk about it anyway. And if people don't like it, well, they can start their own show. So, this is that's about all I got to say about that one. But I think it was entertaining. I like entertaining racing. I don't like it when officiating has a big part to do with it. If it's a scenario where they're just allowed to actually go out there and do it. I mean, Verstappen still had to get around Hamilton. Let's not forget that either. I mean, he could have great tires and everything and still have a terrible restart. Hamilton had great restarts the entire race. For what few of them they have, I guess, in Formula One being what it is. So again, I was very impressed by how well he was holding him off under the circumstances. Didn't happen. The pass didn't happen in the first corner. So it's hard to really be too disappointed with that. I mean, I don't expect somebody to be happy with losing, but that's kind of the situation. So yeah, I don't know. So let's see. Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate the compliments there on the stream format. We're going to look to kind of hopefully keep this going in future shows here as well. I'm just kind of checking out some of your comments here. We are going to do trivia, as I had in the opening. I do still have that. A lot of things have changed on the show here. This is, I guess, our next gen format for the live streams here. Hope to kind of keep this going here. Yeah, we're going to keep a lot of the same formats. I do have something for show and tell as well. Yeah, so we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, so again, it's not, yeah. So again, and I know that I know I'm not a Formula One expert there. I'm sure everybody out there, if there's anybody in here that is a Formula One fan, that I'm sure you guys are pulling your hair out. This is only the beginning of the discussions, and the discussions I'm sure are going to continue to whenever the start of the season is. And, who knows what the outcome of all of that is certainly going to be. So while I'm starting out here, too, I kind of want to also talk about a couple other things I've been working on here. One thing I actually just posted on the lastcar.info website is an excerpt from the latest interview that I performed. I actually did an interview with the one and only Gary Bradbury. A big thanks to him. His wife actually reached out to me after the video was posted at the beginning of this month, and she was very pleased with the video, and he was as well. I on the way to work, I had a great phone call with him on the Bluetooth there and talked with him on that. Had a great discussion there. I kind of went with kind of more the Rick Houston approach and kind of went chronologically through his career. And we had a great discussion, lasted for about an hour. The excerpt that's on lastcar.info currently, it's actually right there, and I've actually fully transcribed that section. That part, I had a bit of audio interference on my audio recorder. I've actually since the audio recorder I used, this is actually a little bit of history behind the scenes here, is one that I've had since 2010 when I was first doing coverage for Front Stretch at Sears Point back then. I've been using the same recorder ever since then, but unfortunately the thing is starting to really get some bad interference on it. And so I just ordered its replacement here. Big thanks to those of you in the Lastreon, as well as the supporters here on the YouTube channel, because you guys definitely are a big help in terms of, when something like that comes up, I'm able to take care of it. So I do appreciate it for all you guys out there. So we're putting stuff back into the channel, and that's going to be the next step there. So get a new recorder out there and do more interviews, because I do still want to do the Hermie Sadler interview. That's something I'm looking to do, hopefully by the end of this month. I'm starting to feel like I'm not going to be able to get a hold of them until after the holidays here. But I've actually started working on the next episode of Rise of the Field Fillers after Score Motorsports. I've even contacted our good friend Brian Hallman over at the BRH Racing Archives about the subject for that video. So I'm getting a head start on that script. So when the Sadler one's finally finished, I could be pretty close to finished with that. And hopefully we can get 2 videos very close together as well. So that's been the big focus. The thing that'll tide you over in the meantime, about quarter to a third of the way through the Bradbury interview and fixing the transcription on that. Big thanks to Otter.ai for their fantastic transcription services on that. I've been using them these last few months here, and it's really helped improve the production speed, rather, of these videos here. So I've been working with, and I did that again with the Bradbury interview. I'm going to put that into a video. I'm leaving out the section that, again, had that audio interference that I've already put in the video. The rest of it, I was able to kind of fix it to kind of dilute some of the background noise in there, so hopefully it won't be too unpleasant to listen to there. But it's a very, I definitely want to make sure people are able to hear Gary himself, because he's a very entertaining guy. I know he comes off very soft-spoken in the video clips that you saw in the Bradbury video, but he's a really cool guy, and he's shared a lot of great stories of his career and driving for a lot of these small teams in his career. And I hope you guys are looking forward to watching that, because I'm certainly looking forward to sharing that for you guys looking ahead here as well. All right. Let's see here. So, whoop, oh, hang on. Wow, there's a lot more discussion than I thought we would have here today. All righty. Oh yeah, Ben, yeah, thanks for stopping by as well. There we go. So yeah, but I still haven't watched Kamikaze Games' video. I saw he posted a video reaction to the Formula One race today, but hopefully we'll get some more content on that here as well. Also, another thing, I want to talk about a couple of good podcasts here I've been listening to during this time as well. I was very pleased with both the Dale Jr. podcast. Condolences to them, of course, with the passing of Danny Earnhardt this past week. But I thought Dale Jr. did a fantastic job with his interview with Kevin Harvick. I'm actually not even going to spoil it in here, because I think it's really entertaining for those of you, really interesting, actually. A lot of details about that period where Harvick took over for Earnhardt after Earnhardt's passing, and a lot of why things played out the way they did those first couple of years. I think it was chock full of some really interesting details I think that most people probably wouldn't be able to even get outside of Junior in that context. I think Harvick comes off very guarded. He's very blunt, not rude, but I think it's very rare in recent years to really hear an interview where he kind of is more open in this sense. And I think that was, so kudos to Junior and the group over at the Dirty Mo broadcast group there for pulling off the interview on that. I thought it was very interesting. Also really enjoyed the interview that Rick Houston and Steve Wade did with Rick Wilson. That was always a driver that I was interested in through his career, especially being the first driver to take over for Richard Petty in 1993, kind of shedding some light on, again, all these little details between there. Ended up, I believe, being a 3-parter on there. So a great interview on that. Also gives you some more context. I think between a lot of the Scene Vault episodes, you get a really good idea of the history of Morgan McClure Motorsports. So many figures that have been discussed in this. And I think Rick Wilson's is definitely another big part of it, of really the culture of what it was like driving for that team in the late 80s as well. So that would be another one to kind of look at. But definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend checking out that content as well. All right. So I think the last time we did the show here, when I was still kind of playing around with the format, it was just before the Snowball Derby. I didn't really watch that one. I was kind of just watching the highlights after the fact. First and foremost, of course, the truck division, I guess, incident there with Hunter Johnson. Terrifying accident there that he had in turn 1 there at the Five Flags Speedway there. Glad he was okay. Some rather shocking images shown of not just the accident, but the damage to his helmet as well. Really shows how far safety has come, but perhaps some more work needs to be done in that series as well. There was a frighteningly small amount of a roll cage there that was left on his truck, as well as the other one that was involved there as well. I know there were discussions as well about teams and drivers being able to slow down for the accident as well. There was one driver that I guess drove through the accident after the fact there. A lot of that short track officiating, I guess, has its own set of problems that probably need to be worked on as well. But hopefully something good comes from that. If I'm not mistaken, Chandler Smith won the main event, didn't he? And he was the same guy that won the Truck Series finale at Phoenix. And is it just me, or does it seem like Chandler Smith doesn't really get a whole lot of attention when he wins? I remember the atmosphere, of course, obviously in the on the Truck Series side, it was big-footed by the championship, with Ben Rhodes clinching it by finishing further back in the lineup there. But it seemed like there wasn't really a whole lot of excitement over his Snowball Derby win either, at least from what I was seeing in just the first few reactions to it there. Now I don't know if it's just more of a bushwhacking situation or anything like that, but I don't. I've never really interviewed the guy myself, so I can't really, comment on it, but it just seemed kind of strange to me from one race to the next. I mean, these are prestigious events. Gary Bradbury himself mentioned in his interview how meaningful that race was to both him and his brother Charlie. Gary actually expressed how much he often struggled in that race and really never had a good run. I believe in his words, I'll check it in the transcript, he said he never made it past halfway in one of them, at least in his recollection. But of course, his brother Charlie, before his tragic passing, actually won it in 2003. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's going on with that too. Oh, Joey MJ1. Yes, the Scene Vault podcast is the one with Rick Wilson. I'm sorry if I rushed past that there. That's definitely one to certainly check out there at the same time. And yes, but yeah, definitely check those out. I mean, any of their stuff on the Junior podcast, the Scene Vault one, I keep them on the loop. One point here, so yeah. Oh, keep things civil in the chat too. I didn't mean to stir things up too much with the Formula One thing. There's obviously very heated emotions about it. I could certainly understand that. But I just, I don't want anybody to feel like they're dissuaded from sharing their opinions about it, because I think at the end of the day, it's racing, and Formula One people, I think, are probably very eager to share their thoughts about NASCAR during that, and that's just going to be shared. It's just one thing's different from the next, but there's some commonalities in racing and even in athletics. Like what's most sporting, what's the most equitable, what levels the playing field as best as you can. Maybe the best example isn't having a guy in second place having 30-lap fresher tires than the leader, but maybe it does if that person's a 7-time champion. Who knows? I remember another 7-time champion holding off, another driver on old tires at Bristol, although he did kind of have to wreck the guy that passed him there on the back straightaway. Maybe not the best example of that either, but it has happened. It would have been interesting to see, but who knows? Yeah, Nikita Mazepin, hopefully he's doing okay. I know that he he got sidelined for protocol on that. So yeah. I'm just checking of everything else here on this. Yeah. No, and I appreciate the discussion here on this as well, so. Using a NASCAR thumbnail for an F1 discussion. Yeah, exactly. I think it's still the JJ Yaley picture, isn't it? I need to figure out a way for a different picture for that, but we'll update the thumbnail there after this. But no, well, I mean, it's not going to be a boring discussion, that's for sure. It's not going to be a boring off season. As you can see on the screen, 56 days until the Busch Clash at the Coliseum. Still looking at using that for the start of our coverage for this year, as well as the second points race of the season in Fontana in February. And yeah, that's coming. I kind of have to remind myself about that because it's coming up a lot quicker than I perhaps would have anticipated during all of this. There you go. Standing starts on road courses, no tires, just gas. I don't know. I think that would go probably about as well as it went for IndyCar at the Indy Grand Prix that one time there. I don't think that would be the most. I don't think that would be the best solution for one or the other there. But Yeah. So there we go. Let's see. So a little bit of silly season news here since our last discussion here on the show. Congratulations to Landon Castle. I want to give a big shout out to him on landing the ride with Colleague Racing, the number 10 car, formerly driven by Jeb Burton. Jeb Burton winning the rain-shortened race at Talladega this past season, but out of that ride at the end of this season. Landon Castle bringing the Voyager sponsorship from JD Motorsports. Castle had really been struggling this past season with the number 4 car. A lot of mechanical failures, contended for last place a number of times, and just seemed to have just a lot of freak issues out there. I think JD Motorsports in general is really kind of trying to look to right the ship here a little bit. They've always been an underfunded organization, limited sponsorship, trying to make things work out here. But perhaps 4 cars is maybe a couple too many. Maybe they'll try something different with now multiple drivers from their lineup going to different places. Jeffrey Earnhardt parted ways after his last place run in the Phoenix Championship. Not sure what exactly Bailey Curry's plans are after driving the 15 or Colby Howard and so forth. And, well, you got Ryan Vargas still, and Vargas is still, working on, getting some more laps under him and everything, and, having some flashes of brilliance there. He might end up being the flagship driver, depending on how things go. But with Landon Castle, though, I've been a big fan of him through the series here, especially his time driving for Morgan Shepherd's team. All the efforts he had made in order to keep that number 89 car in the field, including that one time where one of the backers brought in some tire money and they were able to finish almost on the lead lap at Homestead for the championship races. Tyler Reddick clinched the championship. Unfortunately, I'm not really hearing anything new on the Shepherd side of it. But again, I mean, this is a winning ride now that Castle is in. It's going to be one of the best opportunities that he's had in his career. Hopefully things can really work out for him and he can finally break through and maybe get even a fresh run at getting into the Cup Series. Because, of course, now we at the same time, Colleague Racing getting their charter and going into a full-time Cup competition for this next season. But very excited for him. Glad he's making the lineup there. Hopefully things work out for him. I think it's going to be something that's going to be very exciting to look forward to next year. Also among the news stories, of course, Josh Williams, formerly for the DGM racing team, the Mario Gosselin effort, the number 92 car, now making the move to the number 78 with BJ McLeod. Great photo shoot with both BJ and Josh there at the same time. Josh, very underrated driver from the ARCA series when he came into the Xfinity series, had some great runs, including at the Charlotte Roval just last year, and has really been kind of just on the verge of becoming top 10 competitor out there. BJ, I think, is another good effort there. I think it seems like it's kind of a lateral move at this point. I think, especially from the improvements that we've seen from drivers like Alex LeBay over there at Mario Gosselin's team, they've really found some speed over there. BJ McLeod's effort, they kind of struggled a little bit this year. Jesse Little seemed to really kind of have a rough season. But then every once in a while, they get a car in the mix or, that can get up there. And maybe with some stability or somebody from the Gosselin team, they can compare notes and make something really happen there for the 78. And that'll be exciting to see. Xfinity Series continues to put forth some of the most exciting runs out there at the same time. So we'll find out how all of that shakes out at the same time. The other big news, of course, this being with the Petty GMS merger. As I reported back when the news first broke that these two teams were joining forces, I wasn't exactly sure how to really react to the news of this. One aspect of that, of course, being not being sure exactly what it was going to look like. What, are you going to keep the same car number? Is Richard Petty still going to be involved? Is it just going to be a complete buyout? There's really no set plan from that in NASCAR. There's been any one of a number of different combinations. I mean, it could be, Spire Motorsports is technically Furniture Row, but I mean, they're about night and day in terms of their background and everything else. But it was very pleasing to see the return of the number 42, which we chronicled back at Phoenix, looking to be out of the series at least for a short time there. after the closing of Ganassi Racing and the sale of their charters to Trackhouse, and Trackhouse keeping the number 1, but getting rid of the 42 and making sure the 99 now has its charter position. Good to see the 42 back with the Petties, of course, made famous by the patriarch Lee Petty. Kyle Petty also ran it in some of his early Cup starts back in the late 70s and so forth. And good to see the number back over there. Of course, Kyle himself ran the 42 under what was ostensibly the team that had it up until just Phoenix this past time with the Felix Sabata's effort. Those great peak paint jobs, Mellow Yellow, Coors Light, lots of classics over the years. Of course, that ended up changing course in 2000 after the passing of Kenny Irwin and the subsequent investment of Chip Ganassi, which ended up starting that organization from there. But yeah, good to see the 42 back out there. I think it's a good, strong number, and it's really cool to see that they even adopted the Petty fonts. I know there was a lot of apprehension about that. A lot of people, for myself as well, a lot of the artwork that was trying to speculate if they would keep the GMS font or not. But it was good to see that they decided to stick with the Petty one. I think that was the right way to do it. And again, I think it's great that we're not just simply changing everything and everything's going to be completely different. Enough things are going to be different as is with the next gen car, and everything else added to the schedule and everything in between. It's good to see something come back. And I think that's a good, well-meaning gesture, I believe, for the sport as well. So that's good to see. So I'm very pleased with that, and kudos to the GMS team for bringing them back in as well. Yeah, can we have the Petty protest scheme during throwback weekend? Yeah, again, it opens the door for that. Exactly. I mean, I'm thinking I'm trying to remember the artist, and I apologize, I don't remember the person's name right off the bat, but they did a render where they showed the 42 car and the 43 car with the STP logos on them, and I thought that was really cool. I really liked. And I even didn't mind it with the numbers moved forward because the STP logo was positioned in such a way that it kind of flowed naturally on there. That's what we really need to get. I think some of these teams are figuring it out better than others. Trackhouse with the 99, I think, has done a good job with it. The 2311 with the 45, I think, has done a pretty terrible job with it. Hopefully that's still changing, but we'll find out. Actually, let me see if I can test this function here on the show. Maybe I can pull the picture up. This would be a good opportunity to test this as well. Let's see. STP. What would be a good way to even search for that? Where was it? Can I get the... I'm trying to remember who the render is. If somebody has it in the chat, don't feel free to go ahead and drop it on there. But yeah, that would be interesting to see. Yeah, Charles Peterson, exactly. Sponsorship could still be an issue on that too. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. It could be in our 43-44 situation. Didn't we have that problem a while back? I mean, you kind of had that too. Let's see. Hoping to have something show up on that. Alrighty. Yeah, I can't find it. I don't want to have too much dead air on here. But yeah, but there is, again, I think there's some options there. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know if the what they need is they need to start winning. They need to start having some consistency. They need to punch their ticket in the playoffs as early as possible. I think Eric Jones is a great get. I still think we haven't seen the very best of him, and he's a Southern 500 winner, so that should excite people. I think it's, it's unfortunate what happened with him at Gibbs. I know people didn't like the circumstances under which he made it to Gibbs because people liked Matt Kenseth, and, certainly understandable. But I think if Eric has a fresh start here, that 43 car, Ty Dillon has done well with Chevrolets this past year, with Arrow Motorsports in the Xfinity Series, and, seemed to kind of be getting his feet under him at Germain Racing before that deal came apart there. Hopefully something works out. I mean, the GMS effort has grown by leaps and bounds since they were kind of working their way up with Spencer Gallagher and in the different divisions and everything. And, now being a real workhorse there in the Truck Series and trying to get into Xfinity. But hopefully that'll be the extra little bit that puts them over the top. Maybe a more contemporary team with a more legacy team. Maybe they can compare notes and kind of work things out that way, and that'll be certainly interesting to see there. Owl, yeah, would you take up the offer to do narration for broadcast if you had the chance? Absolutely. I was listening to, yeah, was it the third episode of the Rick Wilson discussion there on the Scene Vault podcast? Yeah, he said, like, yeah, I mean, anybody that complains about broadcasting should be in the booth. Sign me up. I will take that bluff. Absolutely. I will call that bluff. And I'll probably flub some lines like that while I'm in the booth, but it'd be fun to try. Sometimes you don't know if you're going to swim until you're until you get thrown in the pool, but that would be the thing. But I'll tell you this, I'm not holding my breath on that one. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, look how long it took me to figure out OBS here, for goodness sake. I need somebody to actually, as long as there's a good crew back there, maybe that'll work out okay, but we'll find out. But very happy with what I got set up here for these next few videos here. I think this is gonna be really cool, and hopefully do some more live streams like this over the off season here between now. I mean, gosh, we still got weeks before even the holidays here. So yeah, so we'll kind of keep that going at the same time. Where did Matty D wind up at? I haven't heard anything new on that. Has there been any new news on that front? I don't know. I guess it's silly for me to ask that, but I honestly don't know anything on that. Yeah, no, that would be. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, somebody in your ear saying, no, don't say that. Talk about this. Talk about that. You know, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. There'd have to be some kind of way to kind of work through that. I mean, that's what separates the boys from the men. You know, I mean, there are people out there that are able to really balance that, and it's not easy. It's a learned skill, for sure. But you know, there's also objectively good broadcasting and bad broadcasting, and you know it when you hear it. You know when you hear a late Bob Jenkins call, how exciting it is, you know, and then when there's something that doesn't meet that level, you can compare it. And I think it's suitable to do so. If anything, things should be getting better these days with what information you're able to have at your fingertips and what camera angles you're able to use and what production quality you have and how many, what billions of dollars are in these TV contracts these days. There's really no excuse for it to not be the best. That's what gets my goat all the time. Whereas, you know, back in the old ESPN days, they're just starting to figure out in-car cameras, and they have infinitely more rewatch value than a lot of modern broadcasts do. And again, I'm not picking on one network over the other. Both of them have notes I think that they could certainly improve from, because in some cases, both of them make a lot of the same mistakes. But that'll probably be a discussion for another day. Let's see. Just kind of checking over your chat. I'm glad I have a chat window that opens up on here. When I did this, I wasn't sure if it was going to keep that on the screen. So used to the old format here. Petty Museum's on my bucket list. Yeah, I'm with you there, WF Hornet. Haven't checked it out myself yet. I haven't been down to their neck of the woods yet. Kimi Räikkönen if he raced in NASCAR. That would have been cool. I mean, I love it when we get international competitors in the sport. I think at Sears Point, we've always had a disproportionate number of them, even making their first starts, whether it was Hideo Fukuyama or Klaus Graf or Andy Pilgrim or any of these guys. I think, you know, I still like to believe we have a chance at maybe getting some. I know Dave Smith. Well, Dave Smith's a local guy, but at least in terms of a driver that's a more infrequent competitor in the Cup Series, Kyle Tilley actually had some runs last year in the Cup Series. So, you know, you still do get some international competition. And by that, I mean more infrequently, not like, you know, ones that are going for the championship there. Obviously, we have Daniel Suarez. We have other competitors there, but that would be good to see. Yeah. Yeah, not sure what's going on there. Oh, Loris Hezemans. Yes. Oh my gosh. I completely forgot about that team. Yes, the 27 car. You got Loris, you got Jacques Villeneuve, and you got you talk about a world champion in that sense. You got him in the mix there. That's going to be exciting. I completely forgot about that team. That's going to be really cool to see. Somehow I still got them confused with the GMS team because they both had kind of orange cars in the preview. Really excited to see Boris Said's name back in the mix. What's with that picture there from the Motorsports Business Management team? Obviously, they had Boris in their Xfinity car last year for a few of those road course starts. But really interested to see his name on a Cup car. I don't think Carl's team is the kind that would just kind of throw anybody's name on there unless that was actually already in the works. So kudos to them on that. I think that's really exciting. Interesting to see the road course car. Assuming it would be a road course car. Well, actually, I guess that is a big assumption. I mean, Boris Said actually has had, it's easy to forget, and I just forgot right there, he had some good runs at Daytona on the oval itself. There was a time in 2006 in the Pepsi 400 that he could have very easily not only won the pole, but potentially win the race. Had other times that he got cars into the show, either on speed or through the qualifying races. We don't know. That could be a Daytona 500 car. I hadn't even thought about that till just now, but that's certainly possible. I wouldn't rule it out. I think it's more likely it's a road course car because that's where he's usually tabbed. But, it could just as much be argued that we don't really have road course ringers in the same traditional sense anymore. So maybe you just don't have that, but yeah. F1 is just toxic. Trust me. Yeah. I haven't gotten too much into the Twitter side. I was already getting a few comments on that this morning. So I already have my backup on that a little bit. It's like, man, it's like, come on. But, yeah. All right. We'll do our trivia segment here coming up here in just a moment. Whoop. Why does it say sign into chat? Okay, I should already be signed in. Okay, I'm not going to confuse this thing in the meantime. All right. Yeah, and of course, if you guys have any other questions there, definitely make sure to let me know as well. I'll try to jump on this. Marcus Ambrose, thank you, WOF, exactly. Haven't been to the Petty Museum, not yet. I'm huge. Always love the Petty cars. Just whoever's driving for them. I thought it was cool when Bubba Wallace joined them there. Again, same thing with Eric Jones driving for him now. I know it's not strictly speaking Petty Enterprises because that hasn't been around since 2008, but substantially, it just means so much to see that number out there. And I'm glad that it wasn't absorbed in the GMS thing. That was my biggest concern. And I'm hopeful on this. I'm not entirely sold on the sponsor. I still don't like the number placement. But man, I hope things work out well because that team certainly needs it. And if they can win, not just run well, but win in the first part of the season while everybody's getting used to only having 7 cars, that's gonna be really interesting. Interested in attending the last Detroit Grand Prix in Belle Isle next year. It's possible. I haven't ruled anything out. The big part of my schedule I'm looking at for next year is again, and I mentioned this last week, but the audio was terrible. I do apologize again for last week's show, but luckily I was able to kind of diagnose a lot of issues here since then and get this piled up. But the schedule I have, and I'm going to be, those of you in the Patreon, I'm going to have a newsletter coming out that'll break this down more. The Busch Clash, the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum, the Coliseum race everybody's talking about to start the season. Fontana at the end of February, Sears Point in June, Las Vegas in October, and the championship race at Phoenix in November. Those are the 5 races I'm currently planning on. Not looking at stuff outside of NASCAR at the moment, but we'll certainly find out if that changes. And again, that's all completely subject to change. Things are as unpredictable as they've ever been, and I'm certainly cognizant of that too. But we're definitely looking to do more trackside coverage and get some more stuff going on that end there as well. But I wouldn't rule it out, though. Yeah, Marcus Ambrose was fun to watch on the road courses. I enjoyed that too. But yeah, I definitely got to check out the Petty Museum. I think the Petty Museum actually has Charlie Birch's picture of Richard Petty, Dave Marcus, and J.D. McDuffie at Watkins Glen in 91. So I think Charlie took some pictures from there and showed that at the same time. Yeah, Clash at the Coliseum. Yeah, you get it. So there you go. I like this. Yeah, I like the size of the font here on this. I wasn't sure that of all the functions in this setup, I wasn't sure if that chat window would show up, and it turned out it was just a layering issue. But I like that. I like that there, and I like that it tucks under. It tucks under that bar. That's. I like that. That's good. Okay. So you should have all the same functions in this. So definitely let me know if there's anything that's not working right or not sounding right or anything. I mean, you guys will let me know. So I trust you guys on that. So that's fine. Alrighty. Let's see. Oh, I touched on this a little bit earlier as well. Another thing I'm trying to get some more content for the $10 members of the Lastron, the patreon.com/. Last Car on Brock. Just this last night, as I mentioned a little while ago, I did complete a commentary track for Sylvester Stallone's movie Driven, also known as Denny Hamlin's favorite movie, at least as of 2013. I haven't really asked him since then if that's changed any. But yes, there is now a commentary track for $10 members of the Lastron. So if you're looking for a movie to watch or a reason to watch that movie again, that commentary track is available. There's also a Days of Thunder one that I did a while back. I think I did that last year. That's in there as well. So looking to get some more, and I'm also kind of putting together some other ideas for content for the $10 level, so you get some more extra videos that are only available in that Patreon there as well. So we're getting some more content on the way for you guys as well. And yeah, so we got that going. That was really entertaining to do. So big thanks to Mark, who personally sent me a letter with a care package back in March, actually. It's been a long time coming to try to get that done. But actually requested the commentary track for Driven. So I hope he's enjoying. Mark, if you're in here in the chat here tonight, I definitely have that all set up. And that's ready to watch again in patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock. Also want a big thank you to everyone who has picked up the Last Car blind bag diecast cars. I put other stuff there on the eBay page. I figured that was a much easier way than the system I had already set up. Kind of working on streamlining a lot of things here lately. But just putting stuff on eBay there. So if you want bumper stickers or if you want the JD stickers that Bruno Raphael did, he did a fantastic job on those, or the blind bag diecast, I have all of that available on there as well. Note though that when you buy the diecast on there, it's very different from when you were a $10 member joining the Lastron. If you get the $10 member, you not only get the blind bag, but you also get a last place statistic written in a thank you note that I write on there that pertains to that car, that driver, that car number. And you also get Last Car bumper sticker with that as well, which I think you get that bonus there at the same time. But if you're just interested in just getting some diecast there for my collection, the eBay one is definitely that option there with free shipping as well. So we got all that. If you don't mind, this latest in a series of plugs on that. I think I have more than 20 at least available still there on that. So we'll, and I got some more I think I could add on that too if that gets going. So big thanks on that as well, because all of that absolutely helps the channel. And I'm glad when my audio recorder conked out, I'm glad I'm able to actually get that thing replaced. And that's a big thanks to you guys there for that. So kudos to you guys on that end there as well. Owl, good question. With the many rumors of NASCAR heading back to some historic tracks next few years, what would you like to see in the future that NASCAR hasn't done yet? Very good question. Yeah, something we haven't talked about here is, of course, the discussions about Nashville, North Wilkesboro, and Rockingham in the discussion here. Wilkesboro and Rockingham getting funding from I believe it was a Senate bill that was passed in the state not long ago. Work has already begun on Wilkesboro, tearing down some of the collapsed structures on the property. Apparently there's going to be a repave at Rockingham, which is exciting as well. Tracks that I would absolutely love to do some last place coverage at. And so that's where definitely the subject to change definitely comes into mind. It's not going to change, of course, this season. I mean, this season's, already locked in, but we'll see what things look like in 2023 and beyond. But yeah, those are definitely ones I think would be great. How many more tracks? I would like them to just continue on that track and just bring back more speedways that have history. I know from my standpoint, I'd like to kind of bring up discussions of different tracks that we haven't seen in a while and kind of connect that past with the present. I think, again, Wilkesboro, the Nashville Fairgrounds, Rockingham, any of those. I'm glad that IRP is coming back and that they're actually calling it IRP, which I never stopped doing ever since that whole time period. So I'm very excited about that. I'd like to just kind of keep going with that. I hope we haven't heard the last of Iowa even. I know that's a much newer track with not as much history. But I hope something, I hope it's not just, going to weeds there. I hate that we basically lost Nazareth. I know that was a really treacherous track. I know it would take a lot to bring that track back from, it's pretty much gone at this point, isn't it? I mean, there's trees growing up in the middle of the surface now. Anything that keeps a lot of these tracks from just completely falling into disrepair. And Wilkesboro has been through so much since '96 that it's good to see something finally happening over there as well. But yeah, and I think that's the important thing. Bring back tracks that have history so you can tie that past with the present. And I think that that's going to be something that brings old school fans back, even though the sport is so different with a new car and you have completely different drivers, but change is a big part of the sport. And it always has been. But yeah, if we can get back to Wilkesboro, where Harry Gant almost got his fifth straight win before a 10-cent part broke and Dale Earnhardt got around him at the end. If we go back to Rockingham, where Carl Long flipped down the backstretch in 2004, and so many converging storylines of the field fillers from that season. We go back to Nashville, the fairgrounds that is, which was J.D. McDuffie's arguably his best track outside of Dover. Had his best career performance there in '79. Yeah, it would be great to see these places and understand them in that context, and to really, have them be as living monuments. I mean, it's great to have the competitions there. So yeah, I'd love to see more of that. Honestly, I'd love to see Riverside come back, but I know that that's not going to happen. But it would be pretty awesome. Do. Yeah, and Mitchell Wallace for us. I appreciate the discussion. So yeah, I'm going to check out your comments here along the way. So I like the added context on this. Again, I'm not professing to be an expert in this. I'm just describing what I'm seeing there. But I appreciate you bringing in your side of it there as well. And again, hopefully, I'm a okay with learning. I don't know what I don't know, and I'm a okay with learning it too. So, but yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, Clash at the Coliseum. Which driver, Diego Josue? I think I'm sorry if I got your name wrong there. Which driver from any series would you like to see race in NASCAR full time? I'd really want to see Scott McLaughlin. Okay, there you go. He was in IndyCar now, right? He was from the Australian touring cars, something of that nature. I know the name sounds familiar. David Land, I'm sure, knows more about it than I do. Thank you, Frank. I'm glad you like the setup. Yeah, drivers to get back into NASCAR or anybody. I mean, I'd like to see, I usually think of it from the standpoint of just drivers that would be nice to see come back. I know somebody mentioned Marcus Ambrose earlier when we were talking about international drivers, and I would add Juan Montoya to that conversation as well. I miss having the both of them out there. I think that was really entertaining. I know people have mixed feelings about NASCAR's era, where they brought in a lot of international competitors into top flight rides, the open wheel invasion, as it were, where you had some drivers even from that, even champions like Dario Franchitti, the Flying Scotsman, as it were, struggling during that time in 2008, 2009, thereabouts. Yeah, I would love to see some of them come back. I don't know how feasible it is for some of them, but if Boris Ed's still in the conversation, I think it still should be. Maybe this new car is going to be kind of, it needs somebody that has a bit more awareness to it, or a bit more consistency that they can kind of improve on that too. But yeah, that's another one to look at. Hey, Alex, thank you for joining the chat here as well from Brazil. Always, love talking about our international contingent on here. LASCAR has a small fan base, but it is an international one, and I do appreciate that. Road Atlanta should be in the Cup Series. It's possible. That was the one where Brad Keselowski injured himself when he was going for the championship, right? I know he had a scary accident in one of those road courses. Kind of browsing through this here. We'll get to our show and tell on our trivia segment here in just a little bit. Does it show a timer? Oh, there's a timer. It's in a different spot. Okay. I need to change the color of the live graphic in the corner. I didn't realize that was going to be washed out with the DVDs in the background there, but maybe we'll put that in a box. I almost put a logo down here where I just put my name, but that seemed like a bridge too far. Maybe we'll play around with that. What I really wanted to do, here's again, I'll kind of tell you a little bit more about this format here. This file that you're seeing on the screen right now, this was actually a grid format that I had reserved for the 2012 season when I was doing the grids back then. So all the elements on here are just like, I just warped a lot of the sizes there and then updated the font there to kind of make it a little bit easier to look at. And obviously adding, logos and everything else on there. So I got to play around with that, and yeah, and I was, it just came to me. I was coming back from work, and I'm like, okay, I know that show didn't work very well when it was just black in the background. There was nothing else to look at, and the screen didn't fill the full screen. And then I'm like, oh, well, heck, I got the starting grid set up. Let's just bring that out. And then played around with this and did a couple drafts. There's a clip of me and the Patreon, very brief clip, but I was sitting here with one of my parents' dogs here, Badger. He was sniffing into the microphone here. We were playing around with that. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. So, and yeah, I'd like to kind of keep it with the date there and maybe change the caption for the race or something. And still playing around with it. I like something that I could kind of still tweak along the way. That was something I really enjoyed with the grids. And I like to kind of tie that in as well. I was glad it had decent layering effects so I could kind of cover that one corner of the screen with this. So, yeah. Anyway, little inside baseball there. Let's see. Yeah, talk about the truck incident there at Five Flags. Let's see. Yeah, that 8th championship's the hardest, but it should be. It should be. I mean, I guess, and again, if it's man, just crazy. Just crazy. Alrighty. Yeah, Sonoma in February for everyone. Yep, Sears Point, you mean? Oh, okay. Of course, Sears Point for sure. I mean, I think we're probably headed there. I can't imagine that we're not. I really do think it seems like Sears Point's Twitter feed is constantly teasing green Sonoma. They always show all those pictures of how green it looks, and it does look awesome. I mean, even with just the difference of a month, when we had that race in May for like I think it was just like 3 years, like 95 through 97. Or no, I guess 94 was in May too because that was really cloudy. It might have even been 93 too, but a few years, not even a full decade of it. You could see it. You watch some of his old broadcasts, like when Mark Martin won here in 97. It looks beautiful. And that's just a difference of a month. We're not talking about like, a radical climate shift or anything here. But it's just a difference in a month. I mean, it goes from looking that lush to being pretty dried out and kind of looks more like Riverside in that sense. I think that'd be a really cool thing to experiment with. Have more of a picnic atmosphere. I think that worked out really well for Road America this past year. I mean, obviously their environment's very different in that sense with the runoff areas and everything there, but I think they found something really good for July. Maybe Sears Point could find something really good for the spring. It certainly fit into the West Coast swing as well. But we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't really, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be against having a race in June and then only having to wait till February to go back there again. That would be exciting. It'd be worth waiting the extra time for the following year for the next time after that. So who knows? Yeah, Milwaukee in the Cup Series, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'm not the hugest fan of flat tracks, but it has, I mean, again, but consistent with the discussion earlier, track with a ton of history. My goodness. I mean, what? Is it older than Indianapolis? It is, isn't it? It was like built in like 1903 or 1908 or something. Like it's even older than Indy. Like it's crazy. Any thoughts on the broadcast package come 2025 1G? I hope they shake everything up. Everything. They need to just dramatically, just completely, just tear up a ton of stuff. And if they can run on half of what they have, I think that would be the start. They just need a completely new approach. They need new people. The only problem, and I've said this many times before, the only problem that I have, the only section of most TV broadcasts that I have the least problem with are the pit reporters. I think you need the veterans there. I think you need to have people that know these people that can work the garage area, that know where to go, and then you get people like Jamie Little and Marty Snyder, and so forth. I mean, they're Matt Yoakum. I mean, people like that. You want to keep them on as long as possible. That's why you've had people like Dr. Dick Bergeron that was around as long as he was. That's the kind of thing you want to keep. I think everything else around that, just completely try something different, just radically different. That'd be the way to do it. I don't even know what that would look like. I think that there's going to come a time that they're going to have to try a different approach. Whether that is having onboard cameras in every car, whether what's streaming going to affect that, what streaming service is going to have the races, any number of different options. I mean, there's a lot you could do with it, and the technology is going to advance that direction anyway. So I don't know. Let's see here. Ron Fell is your favorite road ringer, Andrew Hayes. Yep, good pick. Ron Fell is a really cool guy. Really cool guy. Spoke with him years ago. I think this was 2006. This was even before I did like media stuff. He was really cool guy. He and I think his wife were there. He's getting ready to drive the Tide car for Travis Quapple and everything. They put Quapple actually in Furniture Row's car that weekend. He didn't qualify for the race. They put Ron in the 32 car and got it in the show. I think he got like a top 20 out of that. So that was pretty hip. Jerron Wade asking about the open date with revamped Atlanta. I've thought about that. That would be pretty cool to do that race. Lastbro in particular is pretty excited about covering that one. With all the questions abound about, is it going to produce pack racing or is it going to be, I think it's going to be probably more single file, at least at the start. But it might be a pretty dang fast single file race around there. Last time they repaved it in 1997. I mean, that's where Tim Steele got injured there. They were just blisteringly fast around there. Jeff Bodine's qualifying lap still stands, I believe, as the track record, if not still in the conversation. But I'd love to cover that one day. I got a good friend of mine lives out that direction too. Let's see here. Yeah, having a race simulcast on a streaming service as well as cable is the easiest way to win. Yeah, exactly. Because you're going to have people that want to stick with cable, and you got people who are over it. But you don't want to lose either of those markets at all. You got to diversify. So, yeah, I'd have to agree. All right. Okay, so here we'll go ahead and jump into our trivia segment here. We'll do show and tell here. All right. Okay, here we go. So the categories. We're going to go back to the late 90s thing here. So let's jump back in here. Categories are a little different with the microphone here. It's literally got it leaned in front of me here. All right, here we go. NASCAR and pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. So go ahead in the chat. Go ahead and mention which category you'd like, and we'll go ahead and do that. The categories again are NASCAR, pits, teams, tracks, drivers, and the wild card. Those are your categories, as always, and we'll do some questions here in just a moment. In the meantime, I do have a little show and tell thing. This actually came in the mail just this past week. And I want to give a particular shout out to Norm Benning, who, as you recall here, got my lastcar.info logo on the B post of his truck there for Phoenix. Unfortunately, did not qualify for the race, but hopefully they're preparing for to get some more good runs next season, and with a return of qualifying next year, and have some better luck in those races there. But it was very exciting to be on the side of the truck there for a bit, and I was very pleased. Didn't expect to receive this in the mail there, but I did receive a couple things from Norm's crew. So let me just pull this out the envelope here. I need to get used to having the microphone right here. First of all, set a hero card here, a signed picture of the number 6, the ABC, the sign company number 6 there from Daytona. Whoop, there we go. Let's try camera. There we go. So I thought that was pretty hip. Nothing on the back there, just a picture of it there, but really cool on that. Love the Ultimate Underdog theme. Also included some stickers in here, just some small ones here as well. And all of these ones, little 4 stickers here say, I support the Ultimate Underdog, bad to the bone, Norm Benning. Here, I'll show that a little. There we go. Move around the mic. There you go. So that was kind of hip. Hopefully that shows up on there pretty well. There you go. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. So big thanks to Norm Benning Racing for that. That was a big thrill. Hopefully we'll. I haven't ruled out doing that again. I mean, I would love to do it again and get the thing in the show, especially if it's one of the races that I'm covering there, so I could see it in person. That would be really exciting. Starting to do a little bit more truck coverage like we did Las Vegas and Texas even before we went to Phoenix last year. And again, we're looking at least Las Vegas and Phoenix for part of the 2022 schedule coming up here. WWE and Syndicate HD or watching the 2000 Sears Point race? Good choice. Very good choice. That one's a very good example of you could pretty much watch that broadcast and you can leave it having something to say about most of the cars in the field. Like the coverage is that good. Like even if somebody like spins out and stalls in turn 11, like you know that gets recalled back in the broadcast or they track like what's happened since then. And it's not strictly through the field thing. They'll just kind of like hop around through the field and capture it. I thought it was a very well broadcast race. And of course the ESPN crew, you know, it's hard to top that. All right, let's see. Teams. Got Gilligan's Island, exactly. There you go. 2, 3 for teams. I see 1 for drivers, 1 for pits, and 2 for wild card. Will Norm have any sponsorship opportunities for next season, Joey? I'm not sure. I don't know offhand. Hopefully we'll have some more information on that soon. But yeah, I haven't heard anything new myself. But I do know that the ABC sign company is looking to come back because they were, at least at the time that I talked to him in Phoenix, he said he was coming back. So hopefully something, you know, is still going on there. They actually even invested in reflective decals on the truck there in anticipation of running in the night race. So you know they're looking to keep going. And apparently, yeah, I'm struggling to remember his name, but I know that he said that he'd been around with Benning even when he drove the red truck, the old 57 truck, and he's been basically having that since the early part of his career. So that would be another one. All right. So I think we'll do teams. It looks like we got, oh no, we got 3 for teams. We got 3 for wild card now. I see Jetman. I got your vote there too. Okay, maybe we'll do a couple of both. Let's do that. Okay, I got to change the angle of this. I literally, a little behind the scenes thing here again. I got this mic stand. I'm literally just leaned it against the chair. This is one of the big logistical concerns is I'm not really sitting in a good office chair. This chair is leaned back so far. I thought of making a desk or doing something here, but any mic arm that I've used, I've had ones to the side, I've had them here, I've had it behind the camera, I've had it on the camera. It just doesn't work. So we're going to do this, and hopefully this works out. So we'll try. Anyway, all right, here we go. So we'll do some, was it teams and the wild card, right? The new mayor, Harrison Burton, should be a nickname. That's a good choice. Maybe the mayor-elect or something. All right. Yes, teams and the wild card. Okay, here we go. So under teams. All right, here we go. What head of Ford's racing operations started in sales promotions in 1957? What head of Ford's racing operations started in sales promotions in 1957? Oh, goodness. Thank you so much for the super chat, Beast of Metal. Okay. I didn't know that function still worked, so I appreciate that. Thank you so much. To add on to Frad F's streaming thoughts, I'm going to mention how mad I got at ESPN for using a clause in their NLH deal to restrict Friday night's Penguins Capitals game to streaming when it would normally be on TV in my area. Oh, my blackout rules are the worst. Man, I'll tell you what, we had so many problems with that with the Raiders in the Bay Area back when we lived out there. So I'm with you there. I don't, but I guess, yeah, I didn't even think about it with streaming rules now. If they're doing that where they're messing with you guys on there too. Yeah, I hate it for you on that. But thank you so much for the super chat for sure. You are a gentleman and a scholar. All right, let me read the question again here. I should have an option here where it shows like the question on the screen. I don't know. We're gonna keep playing with this. This is the latest version. We'll keep tweaking with it along the way. I should have made this red to green in the background. Maybe if we do another show before Christmas, maybe I'll do that in the background, and it'll be something like that. But I kind of play it off here, play it by and see if we get more news here. Okay, anyway, what head of Ford's racing operations started in sales promotions in 1957? I think this is the right position to be in. Alrighty, we got guesses for Henry VIII, Edsel Ford, Lee Iacocca, Mark Martin Racing, somebody from the Ford family. The answer is Jacques Pacino. Jacques Pacino. Yeah, okay, see, now, okay, the screen's smaller, so I got to bring this closer. Here we go. There you go. Jacques Pacino is the correct answer. There you go. You can see there you go. There's a live graphic, too. There we go. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I've never, okay, well, gosh. All right, here we go. Oh, I never did the Twitter thing. I should do that. Here we go. Let's try this. Let's play with some toys here. All right, here we go. Jacques. Oh, it only does it on Twitter. Shoot. I need to do that. Hang on. Jacques. It's not even the first option on here. Before Ford Racing. Okay, there we go. Jacques Pacino at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Jacques Pacino was part of Ford Motor Company's racing. Can I get this on the big screen? I don't want to play any weird audio or anything. Okay. How does this work? Okay, let me try this one. This is the one I had tabbed for this. Oop, okay. It's not showing the thing. Hold up. I know it went dark there. Okay. See, when I do Twitter, it shows up. Did it show? Whoop. Is it on the screen sharing option? No, it's not. Doggone it. Where is it? Oh, is this muted? No, it's not that. Okay. Well, that's going to have to... I'm going to have to figure that one out later. All right. Okay. But, yeah. Like I say, still a work in progress here. But we're going to figure that out. But yeah, Jacques Pacino is the correct answer. I don't think anybody got that. Yeah, it did. At least on Google, it's talking about it. So, all right. Next question. Teams is going to be a good category. Steer that up a little bit. Okay. What owners' drivers grabbed inside and outside poles at the 1998 Trans-South 400? Don't look it up. Don't look it up. New format, but the same rules exist. Okay, there's light a little better this way. Probably need to put a light back over here. That's what we'll be doing too. What owners' drivers grabbed inside and outside poles at the 1998 Trans-South 400? Don't look it up. What owners' drivers grabbed inside and outside poles at the 1998 Trans-South 400? Oh yeah, it doesn't let me chat. That's bizarre. Why does it say I'm not logged in? Should be. I'll let you guys guess there. I think the chat's still catching up here. Okay, good. I'm just making sure you guys can hear me. I hope it didn't fade away there. I like that. I went for like a bigger font in the box. I'm pleased with that. I know you don't see a lot of the chat on the screen here. I mean, I can see a ton of it over here on the right side. But it just refreshes so quickly. All right, we got guesses for Elliott Rudd. Bill Elliott, Ricky Rudd, Jeff Bodine and Ricky Rudd, Bill Elliott and Brett Bodine. Okay, no. This is interesting. The 98 Trans-South 400. Okay, I keep holding this in the wrong spot. Okay, here we go. What owner's drivers grabbed inside and outside poles at the 1998 Trans-South 400? As always, we got the code red here. Haven't forgot that. All right, what owner's drivers grabbed inside and outside poles at the 1998 Trans-South 400? The answer is Jack Roush's. Jack Roush's is the correct answer. Okay, now I got to look this one up, too. I'm surprised the Twitter feed didn't work. It worked yesterday. We'll have to experiment with that again, just so it opens anything on the browser. That would be a nice option. Alrighty. DW and Rudd. Yeah, Jack Roush had two of his cars on the front row for the 1998 Trans-South 400 is the correct answer to the question. I'm not sure if anybody got that one, too. I see a lot of you guessed Fords. Or drivers who ran Fords. Alrighty. And the answers were Mark Martin on the pole and Jeff Burton on the outside pole. In fact, the top 5 were Fords. Back when the Ford Taurus was just getting its feet under it there. Mark Martin on the pole, Jeff Burton in second, Dale Jarrett in third, who won the race, Dick Trickle in fourth for Judy Donlavey, and late Kenny Irwin Jr. For Robert Yates Racing. That was your top 5 for the 1998 Trans-South Financial 400. There's another old school sponsor there to tie everything in. Yeah, what owner's cars? Yeah, that was. I don't know if I misread that. I apologize. I think that's what. What owners drivers? Oh, it's badly written. That's the problem. What owners drivers grabbed inside and outside poles at the 1998 Trans-South 400? Yeah, there's an apostrophe S in there. So yeah, I'm not sure if that came across very well on the audio. Yes. So, okay, now I can see why a lot of you guys guessed owner drivers. That's okay. Yeah. What owners drivers? It's badly written. I would have written it just like which owner had two of his drivers start on the front row in this race. I'd probably phrase it like that. All right, here we go. Next question. What did Jack Smith's team once use in an attempt to plug a leak in his gas tank? What did Jack Smith's team once use in an attempt to plug a leak in his gas tank? All right. Charles Peterson, yes, you're right. Yeah, that 98 race, that was the last one with Darrell Waltrip as an owner driver doing the Tim Flock paint job. Yeah. Oh, very sad when that happened. But again, ESPN did a great job featuring that. If you watch the opening of that broadcast, I watched that a couple of years ago. Yeah, they actually show DW, and he still had the chrome helmet, which I thought was pretty cool. Even to the end, they were trying to put out the best that they possibly could do. All right, I guess it's for a wine cork, a bottle cork, a gum, bungee cord, driving glove, cork, a book. See, it could be anything. I'm going to read the question again here. What did Jack Smith's team once use in an attempt to plug a leak in his gas tank? So we're just looking at nouns here in the Mad Libs of this whole series. The ball that Kevin Dyson ran back for a touchdown. We're not talking Music City Miracle, are we, Beast of Metal? Alrighty. Need that forward pass? Okay, here we go. What did Jack Smith's team once use in an attempt to plug a leak in his gas tank? The answer is a bar of soap. A bar of soap is the correct answer. I wouldn't think that would work. Wouldn't the soap break down? Or wouldn't it cause a bad reaction? Joey, you said bottle of soap. You were very close. A bar of soap. Well, it did say attempt. I mean, probably. I mean, isn't it? I mean, okay, you don't put sugar in your gas tank, but I guess, like, I mean, the fats in the soap, I guess that doesn't do anything. I don't know. See, I'm not a Formula One fan. And I'm also not a scientist, so I can't exactly, or chemist, I suppose. Nah, you're cool, piece of metal. Let's see. Bar of soap, yeah. So there you go, Jack Smith. I think Southern 500 winner, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he was in that big display they have at the Darlington. I haven't been to the Penny Museum, but I have been to the Darlington Hall of Fame. That's really cool. All right, let's switch to the wild card because I know a couple of you guys wanted those, so we'll go ahead and do that too. Here's a good question. Here's a really weird one. All right, strap in, folks. We got ourselves a good one. Okay. What driver had a green leopard printed on his helmet? What driver had a green leopard printed on his helmet? Soap was the exact opposite of what a normal person would think. Yeah, I'd have to agree. Oh, Turner, I'm definitely continuing more LASCAR films. I haven't thought of any other long form content. Until lap 11 kind of took a lot out of me on that one. But I'm thinking of some other ideas of that. The field fillers has kind of been the main priority. I mean, that's definitely basically a LASCAR films thing. I've kind of used that branding with all of those. But shorter films too. I'd like to do stuff like the Gary Bradbury video, and fill that in. But, yeah, I'm definitely open to doing long form content. People seem to enjoy it. And, I'm definitely happy to oblige. What driver had a green leopard painted, I almost said printed, excuse me, painted on his helmet? Kyle Petty or Harry Gant, Will Ferrell. Oh boy, this could be anyone. I agree. It could be anyone. It may not even be relating to a sponsor. It could be a nickname. It could be anything. If I put my hand up, does it? Oh, there we go. I was trying to. Oh no, I got to put my arm up to try to show the LASCAR headquarters thing. There it is. Kind of there. I put a drop shadow on that, but maybe I got to put an outline around it. That'll probably work better. There you go. See it a little bit. There you go. Little interactivity. Okay. What driver had a green leopard painted on his helmet? Buzz Lightyear, Joe Exotic, Wally Dallenbach, Carol Vegemelka. Oh gosh, I got to read that one. Karel Vizmelka. That's my last attempt. Karel Vizmelka. That's the one. Alrighty. What driver? I honestly don't know the answer to this. I really don't. What driver had a green leopard painted on his helmet? The answer is Wally Dallenbach. I think one of you got that. Right on. Wally Dallenbach. Charles Peterson, you shot for the moon and you hit it. You hit it right in the crater. There you go. Wally Dallenbach. It doesn't say whether it's junior or senior, but I mean you got it. You said Wally Dallenbach period, so there you go. I did say leopard, yes. I apologize. My Mucinex must be wearing out here. Oh, that's cool. There's a mini feed on here that shows the super chats in a separate list so I can scroll through those. That's handy. I like that. Okay. Total guess. Yeah. No, good guess. There you go. All right. Rock and roll. All right. We'll do a couple more wild cards. We'll probably wrap up for this week's show here. Yeah. Okay. Right on. I'm liking this format. This is easier. What 1957 race? Next question here. What 1957 race was the first Fireball Roberts won driving a convertible? What 1957 race was the first Fireball Roberts won driving a convertible? You shot for the moon, and I struck. Correct. Yes, you did. I didn't know that Norm Benning was a Sobe driver. He did used to have that, like an ARCA. He had the 84 car. He tried to get the Daytona 500 before, but didn't quite. Gosh, that was years ago. Reading it again, what 1957 race was the first Fireball Roberts won driving a convertible? Okay, here. I'm reading ahead to the answer here. What it's looking for is a race name. A race name. So we're not looking for a track. We're not looking for city, state. We're looking for the name of the race. So I see some of you guys put tracks here, but you're going to look for a name of a race. So, you know, the name and the mileage and all that, for example. What 1957 race was the first Fireball Roberts won driving a convertible? Yeah, I'm still getting guesses here. Charles went to infinity and beyond. Exactly. Just to be clear, this is not the real Buzz Lightyear. Or it's not Buzz Lightyear the toy. This is the real human Buzz Lightyear that the toy is based on. Just a wonderful tweet that was from Chris Evans. I still like. There was a trailer. I watched the trailer to the Uncharted movie the other day, and there's a line in it where I haven't rewatched it. I'm wondering if I was just tired or what. But there's a moment where one of the characters says, "Oh, he doesn't have any friends. I should know. I'm one of them." And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. He doesn't have any friends. Okay, so no friends. So period. That should be it. I should know I'm one of them. I'm one of the people he doesn't consider a friend, or I'm one of the people that doesn't exist. Like I don't know. That was weird. Okay, here we go. We got some names here. We got Confederate Rebel 300, Coke 600, Southern 500, World 600. Okay, here we go. What 1957 race was the first Fireball Roberts won driving a convertible? The answer is the Rebel 300. Rebel 300. Joey MJ1. You got it right off the bat. There you go. Good guesses all, though. I mean, we're looking at older races. You're thinking Darlington. You think Martinsville. And Charlotte I'm seeing pop up here, too. Although it's a little bit before when the 1.5 mile track opened, but still good guess. Alrighty, here we go. Okay, last question for the evening. Last question, ladies and gentlemen. Who chose not to drive using his first and middle names, Waymond Lane? Who chose not to drive using his real first and middle names, Waymond Lane? Which driver? Uh-oh. Did we lose audio, Beast of Metal? Hopefully not. I think we're still getting responses. Okay. Oh, you said Rebel 300? Oh, man. I'm sorry. I missed that completely. Let me scroll back up there. Oh, you're right. Oh, I'm so sorry, Beast of Metal. Yes, you were the first one. Absolutely. Make that a record here. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you were right on top of it. Beast of Metal, congrats. You absolutely got that one first. So there you go. You got it. You got it. You're good. Hey, you know, people are already talking enough about people not getting the win that they deserved here, and I definitely don't want to continue that. Okay, the question again here for this one: who chose not to drive using his real first and middle names, Waymond Lane? Waymond with a W. We're still good. Okay, good. All right, cool. When I saw Beast of Metal's quote, I was like, something went sideways again. I'm getting used to this microphone being here. I feel like I'm doing one of these. I feel like I'm doing that show on Fox with what's his face. Oh gosh, I keep forgetting his name. The guy's like, we're starting over. We're starting from scratch. We're not doing the same show. Oh, I know. It's like, yeah, like, you know, I don't know. It just feels weird. I think it feels better. I think it's a little bit easier to be a little. It feels like I'm just rambling to myself if I don't have this in front of me. But I know most podcasts, they tend to keep that pretty close, so I think that works. We got Hut Strickland, Fonty Flock, Buckshot Jones. We got several guesses here. Saw a couple for Fonty Flock here. One more time, who chose not to drive using his real first and middle names, Wayman Lane? The answer is indeed the one and only, this way, Hut Strickland. Hut Strickland is indeed the correct answer. That's Hut, Joey MJ1. I see you got it. I see a few of you got it here. Charles Peterson Jr., you got it. Yeah, I think I see Joey MJ1 got that one first. Alrighty. Couldn't help with the Buzz Lightyear. There you go. There you go. Yep, Hut Strickland is indeed the correct answer. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in with this new format here. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. It's still a work in progress. We're going to try to get a function on here where I can do some screen sharing as well, so we can keep track of when we get calls from the technical inspection during the season. I want to kind of, iron everything out, but I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I wasn't expecting this many people here for a show tonight, but thank you guys for stopping by. Our next show, we'll probably either, I'm not sure if it'll be next week or not. We'll maybe do another show for the holidays. We'll find out. But for more information on that, that'll be on my Twitter feed at Last Car on Brock. Check out me here on YouTube under Brock Beard. And of course, the Patreon is patreon.com/LastCarOnBrock. Have a great weekend, everyone, and have a safe week. And we'll see you guys next time for more discussion of hopefully less Formula One and more the NASCAR stuff here. And we'll pick up right where we left off. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And I'll see you guys next time.